So, really quick, Kraven the Hunter, Spider-Man character, one of the founding members of the Sinister Six. There are a number of Kraven stories where, like, he's hunting Spider-Man, he smells Peter Parker, but he's rooming with Harry Osborn, and Harry Osborn's using the same cologne as Peter. Like, these are the stories. But, like, it doesn't matter.
All right, welcome to This Week in Nerd History, the podcast where we talk about all the fun, dumb, nerdy stuff from the past, present, and future. I'm Mike. Joining me, as always, is AJ and Sal. How you guys doing today? Doing
Superman. Good? Yeah.
Awesome. We got, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Skeleton Crew for a little bit. Talk a little bit about Sony's Spider-Man villain universe and the fate of that whole dumpster fire, and the Grinch.
All of the iterations.
One thing, just to start it off topic, that was making myself laugh the other day. If you guys saw, it's such like it's the dumbest fucking sentence I'm going to say. The Hawk Tuah girl made a meme coin and fucking scammed a bunch of people out of a ton of money.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
She might go to jail.
She might go to jail, right. So
I love that.
Yeah. Like, it's
also good for her.
It's ridiculous. So it's like she's going to get in some sort of trouble, and it's not just her. She got involved with a bunch of scumbags who do this shit, and all those things are just scams all the time. So, she had to know, she had to make some money off of it, and just scamming her fans. And it's also too, at this point, the people investing in it have to take some of the responsibility, because they have to know these things are always a fucking scam.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no, it's like at some point, Grandma, you have to know that I don't have a foreign accent, and I don't need you to pay me in gift cards.
It's always
at
gift
some point,
cards.
that's your fault, Grandma. But also, if you were like, because I saw people being like, I lost my life savings, and I'm like, I mean, first of all, what are we talking about? Like here, $255, like $255, like is that it? But also,
I mean, when you're in college, that is your life savings.
Dude,
be
I
smarter about that.
Then
Save that. Spend that on beer and alcohol.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Fucking green coins.
Don't be
if you spent $200 on beer in college, that is a bigger and greater investment than you could possibly imagine than buying meme coins, because essentially you would be a legend. And you will make friends who will get into finance, and they will get you a job at a Fortune 500 company.
Whenever it's these ridiculous, internet lingo, news headline type of nonsense, the first thing I think about is trying to explain what this is to a war veteran, like a World War II veteran, or
hell, even a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah,
would be
it's gotta be World War II. There's few and far between that now, but or just my parents who just aren't.
Yeah, literally,
just for
trying to explain something like this to your parents,
and just how every single fucking step you have to explain.
Yeah, I don't know if my parents know what Bitcoin is. I don't know if they've ever even heard of it, honestly. So if they saw if they were trying to say Hawk Tuah, the way that it's spelled, they'd probably be like, "Who's I read the Burt coin with the Herc Tuah girl."
Yeah, right. You have to start out by being so a woman who described her best method for putting penises in her mouth. She became popular as a result of that, and they parlayed that into a podcast, and that podcast was parlayed into a cryptocurrency scheme, a pump and dump scam, if you will, and now she's going to jail. I mean, she's not even saying it correctly. It's not Hawk Tuah. It's patooey. If you're looking for the onomatopoeia for what the sound effect is of spitting, if you are a Old West character with a 10-gallon hat, expelling saliva into a spittoon. It's not a spittoon. It's a spittoon. Patooey.
But even just digging down into it, I was trying to break it down of where you could even start until my parents could understand it. Like you're saying, it was just she made a joke about a blowjob in an interview. And then my parents
what kind of interview? With whom? With Fallon?
Right. Why was she being interviewed? No, it was just a guy who just interviews people outside of a bar for content. What do you mean content?
What is the content?
Content is just a soulless word to describe making videos. You have no passion about it. It's just called content, and it's soul crushing. Okay, so and then she was on a podcast. Well, what's a podcast?
Oh, damn it, Mom!
It just never fucking ends.
It's like the radio for the internet.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you actually get to describing what a fucking meme coin is,
oh my god,
or crypto or rug pulling or any of those like any of the freaking terminology that goes along with it, I would just be like nose bleeding and it just like pass out. It happened the other day too, where it was like Baby Gronk was like talking shit about the Rizzler. I'm like, what is this?
What am I saying? Who's the Glabbity Glues are doing the Flabbity Flomps.
It's like, two kid like celebrities that are they're the version of what a celebrity is now, and like one was talking shit about the other. I'm like, this is the end of the world.
And one is the Rizzler.
I really don't want to explain.
He was skibbity toileting the Rizzler.
So, Sal's prompt from last week.
It was Violent Night at the Roxbury. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great clue. Because I was like reading it through and I was like, I had a couple other things in there because there's so many things with like night in it or, any of that kind of stuff. But Spectral Monkey, Not For You, and Techie, congratulations, the three of you, getting it correct. And thanks for posting those answers too on YouTube, and Techie posted it on our Patreon. So thanks everybody. Appreciate that. Somebody left another prompt, actually. I don't know if you guys read it.
No. Ooh. Can you read it for us?
Yes, I will.
Let's see if we can get it.
He gave the answer too, but I read it, so I won't.
Well, no, you can read it. Me and Sal can guess it. Let's see if we can guess it.
Both you guys can answer. So this is from Nick Hamlin, who is a patron.
Oh, I love you, Nick.
I know.
Nick's been around since like back when we would do like drawing on Fridays and stuff, when we would stream on Fridays. Nick's the best.
This is his movie mashup. A period drama in which a widow and her 3 daughters are left with a meager inheritance, whilst the dead man's son from a previous marriage gets the bulk of the estate and moves into the family home with his bitch wife, who becomes concerned when her brother shows a romantic interest in one of the daughters while staying with them. Meanwhile, the youngest daughter can see ghosts and, despite initially being afraid of them, later comes to appreciate her gift, learns that her father was unintentionally but cruelly murdered, and is told about evidence she then uses to expose his killer.
There's so much going on here.
If I give you a clue, it might kind of
give it all away.
Give it the whole thing away. Yeah. The key is about seeing ghosts.
Literally the movie Ghost,
Right.
but that is not like a family structure at all.
No. Mm-hmm. There's Ghost Dad, but they couldn't see him.
I don't think I'm going to get it.
It's a kid who sees dead people.
Is this The Sixth Sense?
That's that second half.
The Sixth Sense and Sensibility.
Yep.
Yay! You're a natural.
That was a really tough one because he put some twists in there. It wasn't really
there's some twists in there. He's really pitching. He's actually selling a movie. Like it's not a joke anymore.
That was a
sensibility.
Honestly, if I didn't accidentally see the answer, I don't think I would have got it because I get lost in the whole first half, and I've never actually seen Sense and Sensibility, so it wouldn't make.
I mean, I've read it.
Howdy there, folks. Video James here. Well, it's that time of year again. The weather gets colder, the egg gets noggier, and the Christmas music becomes inescapable. Thankfully, our good friends at Gamer Sups are having a huge Christmas sale so you can be fully immersed in the holiday spirit. This awesome deal drops on Friday, December 20th, 2024 at 3 p.m. Eastern. You get a free gift with every GG tub purchase, and the more tubs you buy, the more gift tiers you unlock, including their oddly modest Christmas waifu cup. So head on over to Gamer Sups on December 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern and be sure to use the promo code DORKLY. All right, back to Mike, AJ, and Sal.
All right, so this is Today in Nerd History, and we can talk a little bit about episodes 1 and 2 of The Skeleton Crew. I watched those first 2 episodes. It got good reviews, and or I should say it got good reviews, and at this point it's so fucking depressing that it just didn't get hate comments everywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is
because everyone's
nowadays to it's you can watch it. It's okay without being annoyed by comments.
Oh, good.
Reviews and shit. So
maybe I'll be more likely to want to watch it then. No one's giving it hate comments.
AJ, if your kids want to watch it, it's built.
It's kid appropriate,
especially. It's built for kids. It's like Goonies in space kind of thing.
Oh,
right?
that's cute.
Because
that's a good pitch.
Okay, I could do that. That is
really
a good
do
pitch.
A good job of,
although Goonies is fucking scary.
It gets more Star Wars-y towards the end of the second episode. Not to spoil anything for anybody, but it's four main characters are kids, and it's like their life, and it's kind of funny. There's this planet, and it's like Earth suburbs, but like in a Star Wars universe, and they find a spaceship and they accidentally like blast off into space, and now they're like lost in space. So like that's fun, and the special effects are really really good for like, especially just this type of stuff that's come out lately. Although like the Star Wars special effects are always kind of cool to me.
Yeah, I feel like Disney is not skimping on shit when they want to do it. They're doing it up.
The thing that like has bugged me from some of the recent Disney Plus Star Wars stuff is that they filmed so much stuff on the volume. And so it just feels small, it feels flat, it feels like a stage. I didn't get that feeling as much in these first 2 episodes. And that might be part of it where like a lot of episode 2 takes place on a ship. So it's like they're in a small set to begin with. Or like when they're out in the world or whatever, it just doesn't feel like closed in or whatever. Or like clearly there's some like, comping stuff and they're just making it feel bigger than what it is. So it felt like it wasn't like distracting for me. There's some really cool story building in it as well. There's a big mystery about the planet that these kids live on, that they're just teasing out for like a longer story throughout the season. And there's like a really good sense of like danger when these kids are out there in space because they can't get back home. They can't find the planet. Nobody really knows where the planet is. And then the first place they go to is just like this pirate space station that's just loaded with pirates, and it's these kids, and it's like they're in like serious fucking danger because the second like they get off that ship, like everybody wants to be like, we're gonna rob and kill these kids kind of thing, because they're easy targets. So all that stuff, like it builds out to be like a good story. The thing that bothers me the most is for the episode 1, like he's built as like the main character, the main kid, Wim, Wim. He's just I don't like him whatsoever.
You don't like the main character?
He's very annoying. Like there's 4 kids. The other
he's
3,
like the oldest one, or he's just the most
they're all
responsible.
Kind of the same age. There's 2.
And one's a puppet. So.
Yeah, one's a puppet, and that's like a practical puppet. It looks awesome. Like they did a really good job on that. And then there's like 2 girls, and one is more of like a Princess Leia. One is more of like kind of a Spock, for lack of a better kind of defining characteristic of her.
Sure.
And then Wim is just sort of like, I don't know, Luke Skywalker-ish. He dreams of bigger things, and he's a daydreamer and whatever. But he's just sort of like, all this stuff is kind of his fault. And I have yet to see like a redeeming quality from this kid.
Oh,
so I'm just
you're the troublemaker.
So he's got Mike from Stranger Things.
This whole story
complex,
wouldn't exist if it weren't for you.
Right. So like he is moving the story forward, but he's doing it in a way where everyone's like, don't touch that button. Don't touch that glowing button. And then everybody leaves and goes, bink, and then fucking touches it, and then the thing takes off. Or like, just you skipped class. Go do your homework, cut to the next thing. He's doing something else, and like his alien buddy's like, you got to get home. He's like, I can do both. And then he doesn't. And like, so I'm just like, what are you doing, man? Like, there's nothing
He's the worst. So you're saying he's a role model.
He's like Ferris Bueller without the fucking charisma. He's just like dragging his friends along.
Ferris Bueller toes that line where it's like, it could be fun, or it could be very grating.
I feel like the first time I saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I was borderline like, I was like a little bit more in Cameron's boat than...
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I feel where Cameron's coming from. A little bit, I'd rather stay home.
Yeah,
and I was definitely more of a Cameron, like, Ferris is so annoying.
Could we just not? Like, can we just stay home and not do all the things?
I will say, too, Jude Law is in it. He's, like...
Is it like a spoiler if you say like how he gets into the crew, or
no? So it's actually it's pretty like from the trailer and stuff. They show that he's like kind of
he just happened to be working on the engine when it took off, so he's just in there. He's just stuck with the motherfuckers.
So, in like the opening sequence of it, there's a group of pirates that are like taking over a ship, and they're gonna like rob it, and it goes bad, and Jude Law is like the leader of the pirate group, and there's a mutiny. I guess they've had enough of his bullshit, and there's a mutiny, and like that's how that ends. And then on that pirate planet, they come across him, and he's like, I can help get you off of here. And then so without anything else that I'll say is probably going to spoil a little too much of other stuff.
All right.
But it's like an interesting character because there's definitely more to him than he's leading on.
He's lost his crew, so he's like, all right, I'll take these kids. It's something to do.
The way it's built now, it's like he's definitely using these kids. Like, I don't think he really gives a shit about
He doesn't
them just
have
yet.
their
So
best
it's gonna
interest at
evolve
heart.
into that. Yeah.
Right, yeah, of course.
If for no other reason than to drop them off somewhere and then steal the car kind of deal.
Right, exactly. It's worth a watch. And it's like it's good for kids too. Like, it's a kid friendly. It's not freaking
Oh, Andor or anything where it's like, yeah, I don't
high
think
stakes
so.
political drama. Yeah.
Yeah, which is also technically the prequels, by the way. It's just more one-dimensional. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of scenes of characters just kind of like talking at each other about trade routes,
Yeah.
and it's like, don't threaten me with a good time. Great news! The Sony Spider-Man spin-off universe is dead!
We're free.
We're free! Hooray! There won't be a Sinister Six movie, just like I said there wouldn't be 10 years ago. Yeah, so Craven hasn't come out yet, but Sony has a very peculiar strategy. And I will just steal the line from The Wrap, who actually reported on this. Let me hit you with this description. On Sunday, at Brazil's prestigious Comic-Con experience, Sony Pictures' surprise panel for Kraven the Hunter played to rows of empty seats. According to an individual in attendance, quote, "There were no stars and not that many fans, just silence."
Oh man.
And I predict that's what the theater experience will be like seeing Kraven the Hunter, because Sony has threatened us with a number of other spin-off movies, including, obviously, everyone's favorite character, Morbius, Madam Web, for example.
I forgot about Madam Web.
Yeah, Madam Web.
I kind of wanted to
I-
see Madam Web just because I like the actress who played her, but I was like,
Dakota
I don't
Johnson,
know
yeah.
what this. Like when I saw, I didn't even know what it was, and I still didn't know what it was when she hosted on SNL and they made fun of her for it.
I tried
I just
3
thought it was
separate
amazing.
times to just like watch that movie, and
And you're
No.
like, no.
You can't. And it's not fun. Like, it's not like it's a disaster. It's just so poor. And I think I've talked about this, maybe on the show, but where Morbius is a watchable movie.
Was it supposed to be like Spider-Man Madam Web? Like, is it a female version of Spider-Man?
No.
No.
It's
Okay,
a separate
so
thing altogether.
It is.
she is a
I'm
Spider-Man
Madam-
character. Yeah.
Madam Web is a Spider-Man character.
Okay.
And this movie was supposed to be kind of about Spider-Man, but apparently in post-production they altered it to make it not about Spider-Man whatsoever.
So
to the
they
point
told
where, like-
everyone working on the movie, this is a Spider-Man movie, and then after they finished it, they were like, actually, we're going to cut him out.
At least one or two actors making Madam Web thought they were in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Shit. That sucks so much for
that's
them.
how bad
like,
it
they
is.
banked on that. They were like, yeah, I'm in the MCU.
Yeah. Well, Sydney Sweeney apparently was in it for that. To hear her talk about it actually after the fact is kind of funny, because she basically was like, I was playing 4D chess. Like, I wanted Sony to greenlight one of my movies that like was lower budget, but they don't make lower budget movies anymore. So I signed on for Madam Web, knowing that it was dog shit, because then they would owe me a movie favor, and that movie was like the movie that propelled her and Glenn Powell into stardom and stuff like that. It was just like, she was like, no, I had a whole strategy, and Madam Web was part of it. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe that, but I appreciate you even attempting to suggest that is part of your plan. Nobody plans to make a Madam Web movie.
There's so many people that worked on, like, just any movie.
I know.
Like,
Any movie is a
shitty
miracle it
movie,
comes
any
out.
indie shitty movie, like, even if you got 10 people that put it together, those 10 people put a shit ton of hours into it. Any movie that's gonna be like at that level, at that studio level, has tons of people working on it. There are tons of
companies
other
were created just to make that movie. Like,
Like-
there were
Right,
literal
yeah.
companies made to make Madam Web happen. And
That's insane.
so, really quick, Kraven the Hunter, Spider-Man character, one of the founding members of the Sinister Six, in 1987 blows his head off, and he's dead until he's resurrected in, like, the mid-2000s. Like, this is a character who has maybe, like, 6 appearances.
Ever?
And then, like, he's in stories. No one could name 2 of them. Outside of
No
the one
one.
where he dies. Like,
Not even you?
Oh yeah, no, he's in the Sinister Six, but that's technically not a Kraven story. There are a number of Kraven stories where, like, he's hunting Spider-Man, he smells Peter Parker, but he's rooming with Harry Osborn, and Harry Osborn's using the same cloak as Peter. Like, these are the stories. But, like, it doesn't matter. The point is, Kraven the Hunter is a character that, like, is a goofy, silly bad guy who, when one writer was like, wait, he's Russian? I can infuse some interesting kind of like Tolstoy-esque pathos into him in the one story where he dies. So like he isn't a character until they kill him. And it's great, by the way. But they're not going to do that.
It's great when he's dead.
Yeah.
It is so good when he's dead.
Wait, do you think they're not going to do that in this movie?
They're not going to kill him in this movie.
But they don't. But you said they're done.
Well, they're done, but that doesn't mean that they thought they were done when they were making Craven.
What if they realized it was done and they did a couple pickups and they were like,
I don't know if they're that like self-aware that they're like, okay, so then at the end, Craven just shoots himself.
then
That'd
you
be
could
so
be like,
funny.
this is this. Wouldn't it be so great? They're like, you know what? This is not. It's not. It's not
It
polling
would need
well.
to be like another like internet tricking Sony, like it's Morbin time, and they'd
Yes.
have to like do that whole thing so that Sony spends all this money to do reshoots so that
Yep.
Craven kills himself. It's what the fans are craving.
Craven.
Well, like the type of shit that Sony's doing in like these Spider-Man villain movies, the type of shit that Sony's doing is like they're always like, oh, we're in the Spider-Man universe. Like I would guarantee there'd be a scene in this Craven movie where like a spider's walking across the desk and like Craven smashes it or
Yeah,
something. Like
100%.
that kind of shit. Like, oh, that's the spider. That might have been the spider. You know, like it's all
Yeah.
these like dumb little things that they're like fake Easter eggs or whatever to be like, maybe we're in it, maybe we're not. And it's just like at this point, and none of it fucking works, and nobody cares at this point. So it's just like, fuck it, just stop.
No. But essentially what they've said is that like Sony's going to like reassess and they're going to focus on just making Spider-Man movies instead of Spider-Man adjacent movies. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good idea since I think the third Spider-Man animated movie was supposed to come out like a year ago.
Yeah.
And you went back to formula. Like you don't even have like a script for the third movie, and you set things up in the second movie that had better be on lockdown story-wise, and I know they're not. So, yeah, you might want to get that on lockdown before you start making, like, other spin-off movies.
Sal
like,
has so
here
many
are you-
notes. Call Sal for notes, Sony.
I don't want to work with these people. I want them to stop. Like, I'm not here to fix this. People calling me up, they're like, hey, Lord Miller's working on the Sonyverse. Isn't that great? I'm like, no, don't get talented people on this sinking ship. You know what I mean? Like, don't get people I like to come to the, like, listen, we got a time machine. I've got Weird Al Yankovic, Stan Lee, and, you know, like one other person that I think is cool, you know? And we put them on the Titanic. Oh, great. So they'll die too. Like, it's not gonna help. They're not good at pitching water or fixing bulkheads. They're still gonna drown. Don't put me involved in this. So I want to get anywhere near this. My advice, if they hired me, and I would take their money. If they were like, all right, Sal, what do you got? I'm like,
would take it in a
you could
second.
probably make $4 billion if you just sold Spider-Man back to Marvel.
Yeah, just do that.
There you go. You're welcome.
Just do it.
I know you're thinking that, but I'm just saying that's the number. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, we'll take it under advisement, but I really want to make this universe work with a bunch of unlikable characters and a bunch of cookie-cutter movies. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do they have any? I know, like the what's his face, the newest iteration of Spider-Man. Like they can't like use him in like their own standalone thing. But like
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like, they're producing those MCU movies. Like they make, like Marvel makes them creatively, but Sony produces them. Like Sony pays for it.
okay,
So, like, Sony gives Marvel the money to make Spider-Man standalone movies, and Marvel goes, and here's what it's going to be about, and Sony has to go, I don't know about that. Like, Sony gets to be in the room and go, like, I don't know if I like that. Which is just what you want.
yeah.
Yeah.
As
But,
Marvel's
yeah,
ushering them out of the room. Okay, thanks,
right.
Sony.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like great. Yeah,
Yep.
we're really
We'll
excited
take
about that idea. Thank
We'll
you.
take your opinion into advisement.
Yep, we'll put it right in this canon. We're going to put it right here, right on the refrigerator. That way we could see it every day. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just like, they're like, but by the way, it is not technically over because, like, there's going to be a Spider-Man noir TV show starring
Right.
Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
and it's filmed. Like, you can look up images of Spider-Man noir riding on cars, and I'm like, why does this happen? Like, and people are excited because he looks like the comic book character. Like, that's all they know is that, like, he looks like, and they're like, you gotta admit. And I'm like, I don't have to admit shit. Like, I'm so tired of having to
Right,
admit.
they did the bare minimum. Like,
You gotta admit, they did do that bare minimum, and I'm on board for that.
All right, I
got him
guess
a
I'll
hat.
give them my money now.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like if I went to a deli and, like, I just got, like, one slice of bread and like some ham
And
and
a
it just
half a
fell
piece
on the
of
ground. Like, you gotta
cheese.
admit, like it does look like a sandwich, and
It
I'm
had
like,
bread.
yeah, that does warrant me forking over some money for it. Like they did have bread.
It wasn't what I ordered.
It wasn't what I ordered, and
ground.
yeah.
I thought I saw ham in there.
Right.
I couldn't believe, like, I just had assumed when I heard about it happening like a while back or whatever, I just assumed that it was a spinoff from like the Spider-Verse like animated thing. Like, okay, that's cool. Like I thought he was like fun and cool in the first one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's filmed, it's live action. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's gonna look
good.
like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Again,
not gonna work.
I like Nick Cage, but like, I don't want to see Nick Cage running. I don't want to see him trying to run.
No, I don't want to see him Bangkok dangerously. I just want him to like, be quiet and be a chef or whatever he's doing in Pig. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, do your sleepy roles. You're not doing. The only other one is that Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent movie. Like, that's where Nicolas
That
Cage
was
can run.
fantastic.
It was
Yes.
fantastic,
Like,
but like
that's-
it was
yeah,
also a couple
absolutely.
years ago. Like he's like 87 years old. It's time to pack it in.
All right, so this is Yesterday in Nerd History, and we're talking about The Grinch. AJ did a bunch of deep dives into all the different iterations and stuff, from the books to the original animated to the movies. that
I
came
got
out
some
since
sweet
then.
little Easter eggs on Seuss himself.
Take it away.
All right. Well, first I want to say The Grinch was based off of, like, if you ask Dr. Seuss, whose real name I can't say because I don't know how to pronounce it, he said that the original Grinch was based on himself, that it was like December 26th, Boxing Day, as we all know here in America. And he was looking at himself in the mirror, and his wife had been like having medical trouble, and he was like very overwrought with the idea of all the consumerism that was happening around Christmas. And he looked at himself and he just thought he had a very Grinchy kind of face.
If he stuck around like the commercialism today, I'm sure he would have been fine with for Christmas, because it's like toned down now. I can't imagine.
In 1965, MGM funded the 30-minute animated adaptation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas with a budget of $315,000, and that is 4 times what was offered to make the Charlie Brown special just 1 year before, which is insane.
And it shows.
Does it show? I mean, I kind of.
Charlie Brown. I mean,
Yeah, Charlie Brown. It also
But
feels
also-
like that's classic Charlie Brown of just being like, oh, damn.
oh, I didn't get nearly as much as the Grinch.
I didn't
man.
get as
Good
much money.
grief.
So that $315,000 in today's money with inflation would be $2,991,245.83. It would be a stupid amount of money. But what's also interesting is, despite the Grinch being a story about like Christmas being something bigger than commercialism, the highest grossing Christmas film of all time, topping the charts at $540 million worldwide, is the animated remake called The Grinch, which came out not that long ago. So not the original, not even the live action with Jim Carrey, but the remake is the top grossing of all time. And Home Alone is the second highest grossing Christmas movie of all time at $480 million. So it's like at $60 million more.
That's amazing, because I don't know anyone besides AJ who has seen the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch movie.
Really? It's good.
I didn't
it's
see it. I
actually
don't know anyone who's
good.
seen it.
I know.
I
AJ
know, I
paid
really
do like it.
$400 million to see that movie too, which was like, I was like, that's too much. You're spending too much on these tickets. I don't know where you went to go see it, but that's too much money.
Solid gold seats.
The Grinch was a character that first appeared in a poem that Dr. Seuss wrote called The Hubbub and the Grinch, which was featured in the 1955 Red Book magazine, back when stories and poems came out in magazines, kids. So when the book came out, like, this was, one of the reviews said this was the first book, the first Seussian book with an adult character and also with a villain as like the central character. But I disagree, because I think the Cat in the Hat is very much a villain. If you read the Cat in the Hat, he's such a fucking dick and I hate him. So no, I
It's
disagree.
really stressful.
Have you guys read the book ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because like
Like,
I had
I'll-
seen the Christmas special when I was a kid, but I had never actually read the book because I just knew it from the special.
I don't read it religiously.
Well, I bought it recently because we're like, oh, we don't have this. Let's buy it for the kids. The thing that really stood out to me is that there's no like image of his heart which to me was the most iconic thing that I remember when I was a kid, is like the showing the insert of the x-ray of his heart and how it was so tiny and how it grew bigger. And so I was like looking for that in the book, and it doesn't exist. That's something that was created for the special, and I think that's really kind of neat. Let's talk about the animated TV special.
The Chuck Jones special, yeah.
Other than
that
what?
is like my
Go-to.
childhood, basically. I mean, anything with Chuck Jones involved in it, I'm going to be watching it anyway. It's just such like a classic, like just taking the adaptation of what the Grinch looked like in the book, and then, you know, Chuck Jones is developing that character and the design of it and stuff. And I'm sure there's other people involved in it, but like, you know, he's so good at developing these characters and the expressions and the visual storytelling of it all, that I could guarantee that he was the one that was like designing and adding the heart part in there, because it's just so classic. And especially too when it like bursts out and like the way that things twirl, that's classic Chuck Jones. Some stuff I hadn't realized, I was just like always just assumed for so many things for it. The biggest one was I always fucking thought that it was James Earl Jones doing the singing.
Yeah.
Really?
I was just like
even when you were little?
Especially when I was a kid.
especially
you
when I was
think
little, like full adult Mike Parker, like, yeah, James Earl Jones was doing the voice.
Yeah, that's it.
for-
What's interesting is a lot of people assumed that it was Boris Karloff, because he does the narration, and
The
he does a
narration,
lot of
yeah.
he does everything else, but it wasn't him.
No, it was the best sounding name in the world, Thurl Ravenscroft.
Yeah,
Fucking
Thurl.
Game of Thrones character.
Thurl Ravenscroft.
I was reading earlier just a thing about Chuck Jones and his approach to the Grinch that I thought was like really cool. This is just on his website, but something that I really liked about it. I mean, it's in the book too, but like especially just in the story of even when having to pad it out, not getting into why the Grinch is stealing Christmas and stuff. You're just like, he's the Grinch, and he just is. Just seeing that, like his approach to it is like you see him, like his demeanor, his look. It's like, all right, I get it. I don't need to know all the reasons why. He's like, he's just going to do it, and I'm not going to.
I don't need to know who his parents were or
his
origin story. Like, yeah,
I think that's part of why too. Just also too, they came out when I was older, and I was just less interested in it. I was so like ingrained with the animated one. Was like the newer ones where it's now a movie. And now you're getting into like what he was like when he was a baby, or what his backstory was, and that's like that extra padding and stuff in there. That me personally, I just wasn't interested in like the bigger story of him.
Yeah,
I just like it. Like I get it. Like he does not like Chris. He's fed up with it and stuff, and he's gonna just fucking ruin it for everybody.
They posit a couple things. They say like, you know, it could be that his shoes are too small, but it's probably that his heart is too small.
I mean, they do spend like 80% of the special just completely fucking roasting him. So you get the idea that he's a bad dude. So that does help. But, like,
yeah.
So one of the things that Julia found for us when she was doing some research on this is that the only credited voice on the special is Boris Karloff. And when I was like looking through other stuff, it said that like the Thurl who sang the song at the end, Thurl like basically confronted Dr. Seuss and said like, hey, I wasn't credited on the special, and Dr. Seuss felt so bad that he sent him he wrote a letter and sent him a letter, and then he wrote letters to several other publications being like to magazines and stuff being like, Thurl was the voice on this, like let it be known. Like he felt so bad that he like basically reached out to the masses to be like, he felt so bad that he wasn't credited at the end of this, which I assume was just an oversight and not like there's certain things that are like, oh, this person wasn't credited because they had a conflict of interest or something.
Yeah, it was strange. I was curious about that too, because like June Foray was also left off, right? So it was like it's just other people involved in it. So I don't know. I was trying to look for it really quick, but I couldn't find anything of like why did they.
I think they were just like, and we're done. Also, like they took.
Like,
why? It took 14 months to produce this. It took 14 months, and it featured 15,000 hand drawings and, like, production animation cells. Like, cool stuff, as well as, like, a bunch of other stuff that, like, were just, like, turnarounds, character information that they, like, didn't end up using and like, were just kind of, like, on the drawing floor. But very cool. Very, very iconic Christmas special that I love. I feel like it's not Christmas season until you're watching The Grinch, the original, in my opinion.
Agreed.
11 years after the animated TV special, there was an additional special that was made. It was a Halloween TV special prequel that was made called Halloween is Grinch Night. This was in 1977. And then in May 1980, they did a crossover special called The Grinch is the Cat in the Hat. Now, both of these specials I had never heard of and I have not seen. No. However, they both got Primetime Emmy Awards. Ow!
Wow.
They both got Emmys for the years they came out. But now I want to move on to Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical, which is not the same as Seussical, the musical. That's a different thing that like encompasses like a bunch of different Seuss stories.
Oh, okay, right.
Started in 1998 in San Diego. I don't know who wrote it, but they just have done it every Christmas season in San Diego. So if you live in the San Diego area, you can go check it out. And then in 2006, it went to Broadway, and it was the first show on Broadway to do 12 performances a week. If you know anything about theater, that's fucking insane.
That is
so many performances.
Wild.
Like,
do they have two separate teams for that? Because
I don't know. I would hope so. Because most shows, because like if you're doing a show, if you're doing a theater show at all, and if it's equity or even if it's not equity, you need to have at least one day off, and it's usually Mondays. So you've only got 6 days out of the week that you can do shows. So that means they're doing 2 shows a day every day that they have. And like, I would think they would have to have like an A team and a B team where like you do every other day and you do 2 shows a day.
It's just 12 performances in
12 performances a week. Like, no, you would have to work 3 days a week, I think, in order to do it also, because that's just a lot. Another fun thing about the musical, when it hit Broadway in 2006, the first week in December, it unsat Wicked the musical as the highest grossing musical of the week. Like Wicked had a 100-week streak of being the highest grossing musical, and then December 2006, it was like, nope, Wicked's out, and here comes Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical. But I assume it was only for a week because there wasn't any more information about it. I don't know how long it could stay at the top.
This season I invested in pumpkins.
when it's running, it usually only runs. It's a limited run, so it runs into like the first week of January or something. Now on to the live action version of The Grinch, which happened in 2000.
Starring Will Ferrell.
Starring Will Ferrell.
You know he auditioned for it, right? Like he had to.
He must have.
Yeah.
So I recently rented and watched this movie because I thought I should give it a fair chance. And I will say there are parts of it that make me laugh. There are parts that were very good, and like you can tell Jim Carrey is giving it his all. Like he's giving it his full weight of a Jim Carrey performance. The worst part of the movie, the absolute worst part, is that it is like an hour too long. This movie is fucking horrendously long. The original special is 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute thing based off a book.
This movie is like 2.5 fucking hours long.
Oh my god!
They did not need to stretch a half hour into 2.5 hours or however fucking long it is. It is so long. They have a whole subplot that's a romance between him and one of the Who's that they show him when he's young, and he makes a little trophy for her, and she's really into him. You think that like the thing is going to be like, oh, she's not into him and she's going to pretend to be into him, and then she's not, and that's what's going to make him Grinchy. But no, she's actually really super into him, and they actually make the mayor the bad guy because the mayor is a fucking dick to the Grinch. So like, why did you do, like, you had the Grinch is supposed to be the villain. They made the mayor a different villain. Clearly, I have a lot to say. I didn't even realize how upset I was about this until it started going. But
I wasn't a fan of like the 15-minute uncut like sex scene with the Grinch and the mayor's wife. Like I thought that was
the mayor's soon-to-be wife. It's just the mayor's girlfriend. That's the thing. He proposes to her in front of the Grinch, and she like takes the ring, but she doesn't accept it really, and. Then
this
she
is
like
all in the book,
and like
all this is in the book.
None of this is in the book.
These are in the appendices. In the Grincherillion.
They had so much bullshit in it that I was just like, by the end, like, my eyes were, like, drooping. I was like, can it fucking be over, please?
So does it get laid at the end, or like?
I mean, you gotta assume.
So tell me about the animated the DreamWorks one, because I know literally one thing about it.
I really love it. Other than the original, which I think is the best, I would say this one's the second. The remake in 2018. Benedict Cumberbatch is the Grinch, and the reason it sounds so weird is because they wanted him to just speak his regular voice, but he was like, no, this is an American story and everyone else in the cast is American, so I should do an American accent. So he does an American accent for the Grinch, and you're like, the first time we watched it, I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, I feel like I understand these intonations. I can't. And then I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, that motherfucker, he tricked me. He fucking tricked me. He can do a better American accent than I can in some places.
What's crazy is the Grinch is actually Portuguese. I'm surprised they didn't have a Portuguese accent.
I couldn't even deign to start doing a Portuguese accent.
I have no idea. It's just, I'll just automatically just be offensive no matter what I'm trying. It's
no.
Nope.
Nope. That's not it.
Canceled.
Go see it. I like this one.
The only thing I knew about this movie was I grew up being a Kevin Smith fan. I know that the producer of all those movies is Scott Mosier. Scott Mosier and Kevin Smith were like these bosom buddies. They went to film school together. They dropped out of film school together. They worked together on every single Kevin Smith movie. They created Smodcast. They were like massive podcast together. It's actually a pastiche of their own names, portmanteau, I should say, of Scott Mosier and Kevin Smith, Smodcast. And then Scott Mosier basically dissolved their entire relationship to make this Grinch movie.
What?
He's one of the directors. You know how everyone remembers that there were, like, when there were two directors for a movie, that's a really great idea. Like, I just love that, like, Scott Mosier, like, directed this movie, directed 0 movies before or since. And, and I've never seen Scott Mosier and Kevin Smith work together again. But Scott did make this Grinch movie. And it's like, I love the idea that he's like, hey, I know I've been working with you for, like, 25 years, but I need to make this Grinch movie. And Smith's like, if you make this Grinch movie, our relationship is over. Like, I want to. I know that's not it, but I want to believe that, like, it just completely destroyed their relationship. This desire to make. He's like, He's like, I love the Chuck Jones version. It is canon. There's no other version. If you make another version that's animated, I will take that as like a slight against me and God and everything that is holy. I will never trust you again. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have to go with my gut on this one.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
I will say the thing that I never liked at all, even from like the animated one, is the word roast beast. I hate that so much.
Roast beast.
And I don't like them cutting it. Like, you know, that's like.
Is that why you became a vegetarian? Because
yeah,
of the
it's
roast
strictly
beast?
from roast beast. Yeah. No, I hate the word, the way it sounds, and then like when at the end, like when it's all in the cartoon.
He carves the roast beast.
He was like carving it. And it's just like it's just animation, so they're just looping it and stuff like that. But she's just like endlessly cutting like slices of roast. I was just like, I don't like this at all.
It beats that one guy who's eating corn forever. But yeah, I guess that's true.
I could eat corn forever.
Corn forever.
I'm not worried about that.
All right, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, give us a like, leave a comment. It really helps us out. If you're watching us here on YouTube, like it, leave a comment. What'd you guys like? What's your favorite iteration of the Grinch's stuff? You guys got anything to plug?
Yeah, as always, every month until issue 5 comes out, you got to check out Terminator. I wrote a backup for it, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/comicpop and Comic Pop Returns.
Yeah,
Please, for the love
I'll
of God.
follow up on that and say that by the time this episode airs, why did I say it like that? Ears.
Yeah.
By the time this episode airs, the 3rd issue will be out. Because
That's right.
Because it comes out tomorrow, as of when we're recording.
It does. It comes out on the 11th.
I'm going to plug the animated remake of The Grinch. Go check it out. It's very fun.
Watch it.
Go watch it.
It only costs $400 million to watch it.
It only costs $400 million. No, I think it's free streaming on most. I don't know.
It's probably on Tubi or something.
Yeah.
You might have to pay for that. Go to your local library. I'm going to plug local libraries. Go to your local library.
Yes.
Take out every freaking Christmas book and Christmas movie that they have. And just
don't
shuffle
return
them.
it.
Don't return them so that no one else can watch them.
You have to return it, guys. Come on.
Return them in January. Just watch them ad nauseum until you're done.
I'm getting really serious about it. Damn it, AJ.
I'm so offended.
Every
Do
week
not-
we do this. Libraries are closing all over. Just
I did like
AJ's like pulling a Grinch. She's just taking all the Christmas
taking
lights.
all of
How
no
did
one
AJ
can
close
watch this
public
except me.
libraries?
I originally I said when we were going through it, I paid to watch the live action Grinch because it wasn't I'm next to two libraries, like two different, my town and the town next to me. Neither of them had any Grinch movies in like their arsenal. They were out. So I was like, I got to bite the bullet. I paid $3.99 to watch it.
399 million? Yeah.
$399 million that I don't have. That credit card bill is
'Cause you
going to
keep
be.
watching the Grinch, you keep
I mean,
spending
that's
that
going to be a
money on it.
bitch when that
That's
credit
right.
card bill comes
Scott
up.
Mosier thanks you.
Gotta spend money to make money. On the Grinch.
At least that's what I keep hearing. I don't know if that's true, but
That's just what I tell Dan. Listen, doing this
Yeah.
pod, I got to spend
We're on
money
the
to
way.
make
We're gonna lose
money.
the house. Gotta spend money to make money.
You've already seen this movie.
Stop it! They're not making any more. You could have funded the entire Rings of Power series for what you paid to watch 2 copies of this movie. You're killing us.
The Grinch is tearing us apart.
And then AJ does the classic where she's like,
Can you do a little
Oh, that's
Grinchy
fucking
smile?
great.
he's like, I can't say that at you.
Wait, do the hairs curl in or curl out?
They curl like into a kind of like heart, kind of. Yep.
Then Dan's heart gets bigger.
Yeah.
Because that makes Dan the Grinch. I don't know. This analogy's falling apart.
It doesn't break down.
Oh wait, that is one thing that I wanted. One of the things I wanted to say about the live action that I didn't like, that I really didn't like. They do a zoom in and they show his heart being really small, but then when they talk about it being larger later, they don't do a follow up zoom in. You don't get to see it get bigger. What the fuck?
That's weird. Is it a real heart or is it a cartoon heart?
I know.
Like, is it like an awful looking, like, kind of like malformed
I mean,
thing?
it's a dilapidated heart shape, but it's not.
okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of weird
I could
choices
have
they made with
I
that
couldn't
one.
remember, but I would have easily thought that it was just like they make it look gross and whatever.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it looks like
black.
a paper heart that's just like crinkled
All right,
and
good.
fallen over.
That's fine.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
I got nothing to plug. I'm gonna watch the first episode from Level Up on Amazon Prime. Came out today. It's about Dungeons
Nice.
and Dragons. It's only 15 minutes long, so I'm gonna definitely watch that tonight. And I want to talk to people about Arcane because that show is fucking awesome, and I haven't gotten to season 2 yet. I'm behind, so that's what I'm plugging. 2 insanely popular shows on massive streaming platforms.
Nice.
They need a boost from this podcast.
They clearly need our boost.
Yeah.
I'm also going to plug somebody who definitely needs my boost, and it's What We Do in the Shadows, because by the time we record our next episode, it will be done, and I will want to talk about it. So I hope you guys are out there catching up. All right,
gang.
we're done.
Take us out.
We're done. Listen, I'm feeling grinchy. I don't know if we like you anymore.
Oof.
Oof. Oh no,
don't
that
care
didn't
if we
feel
like
right,
us.
actually.
AJ's heart shrunk 2 sizes that day.
It's a millimeter wide.
Oh,
No.
I just remembered something I wanted to talk about. Because I did, actually, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Why?
Well, I'll save it. I'll save it.
For what? Okay.
The next
fine.
episode.
Save it. Make some notes.
Yeah.
Make some notes.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw the
kids.
Elf Christmas special. It was so bad.
Oh, fuck.
You wouldn't
I can't
believe
wait-
it. I got to
okay,
pitch it to you. We'll
write
talk about
it
it
in
next
the
time.
doc, and I'll
Yeah.
go
Oh.
I'll go watch it too. We can talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We like you, and we hope you like us. In San Diego, and then every year since 2006. Hold on, let me start over. This is all wrong. I read my notes totally wrong. Where did I start? All right, segue. New topic. Cut. Hold on, let me drink some.
All right,
Safe
welcome
from
to
charm.
Today in Nerd History. This is a
Today in
podcast where
Nerd
we talk about all the
History.
fun, dumb, nerdy stuff from today.
Oh.